Now we're going to look at evaluating and solving functions. We're going to do this multiple ways. We're going to start off with evaluating and solving when we have a formula for a function. And what I want to really stress here is that the terms evaluate and solve have very specific and different meanings. When we're evaluating a function, we are finding the value of y or the value of the output when we're given an input. And when we're solving a function, so when we're solving, we're actually given an output and we're solving for the input. So they really are almost mirror images of each other. In one case, we're given the input, we find the value of the output. In the other case, we're given the output and we solve for the input. So let's look at this example here. So we have y equals f of x. And this is always sort of our general function notation. We have some input and some output. And now we've defined this function as, we can also call this f of x equals 3x plus 1. We input x, and that is going to give us an output of y when we put it in this rule here. So in this case, we have evaluate f of 2. So we want to find the value of y. We want to find the value of y when our input or x value is equal to 2. So again, here's our function f of x equals 3x plus 1. And so what we want to do here is, well, we want to find the value of y when x equals 2. So everywhere we have an x, we're going to put a 2. So f of 2 is equal to 3 times 2 plus 1, gives us an output or a y value of 7. And what I'd like you to do is, you can use this as a free Desmos calculator, and it's actually built into Lumen. So I'd like you using that when you're working on problems. So this would be 3 times 2 plus 1, and that tells us when we put it in there that that's equal to 7. All right, so that's a free calculator. I recommend that over using something like your cell phone calculator. All right, so let's look at writing this in function notation and as an ordered pair. So now I can write this in function notation, and I can say f of 2 is equal to 7. When I input 2 for x, I get a y value of 7. I can also write that as an ordered pair, input 2, output 7. That's evaluate. So now if I look at solving a function again is, I'm given an output. I want to solve for the input. And we have our function notation, y equals f of x. We'll take our same function here, y equals 3x plus 1. So this, I'm going to solve this, okay? I say I have f of x equals 0. So I'm given the output. My y value is 0. I want to solve for x when y equals 0. So how do I do that? Well, oops. So what I want to do is, I'm going to solve this algebraically. I know that y has to equal 0. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put in 0 for y. And that's exactly what I've done here. Y equals 0. And now I want to use algebra to solve for x. So I want to isolate x. That's how I solve for x. So the first thing I want to do is, I want to subtract 1 from both sides, right? I want to get rid of this plus 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And that gives me -1 equals 3x. And I want to isolate x. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I get x equals 1/3. -1/3 here. Okay, so now I know I've just solved for x. I isolated x, and when x equals -1/3, y equals 0. Here I've written it as an ordered pair. And that's it.